I just want to let everyone know that drilling is actually reduced in Ohio than what it was in 2013. Actually, folks like BP are pulling out of Ohio, selling their wells because the wells are dry. However, we are still the biggest taker in of waste in the Midwest. So you'll hear a lot from industry folks about how we need to work nicely with the fracking companies because we have so much natural gas in Ohio that it's a game changer. And the real reality is it's not changing at all. In fact, natural gas in the last 6 months has doubled in price, according to the Energy Information Agency. Doubled 2 times, more than 2 times more expensive. So at this point, natural gas isn't even as competitive as wind. Wind, actually, the states with the highest penetration of wind are seeing better reliability, which you hear all the time, oh, but the wind doesn't always blow. The wind is blowing somewhere at all times, right? We're celebrating the wind today ourselves, right? It's cooling us off. So the states with the highest levels of wind in the country are seeing lower prices to customers, and they're seeing more reliability. For example, in the polar vortex, several coal plants shut down, and it was the wind in West Texas and Minnesota that stopped rolling blackouts, okay? So gas is more expensive than ever. We as a state have decided that we're open for business, and we've all heard this from our friend John Kasich many times, right? And part of the way we're open for business is we're going to take the junk from other states that nobody wants with all that toxic frack waste, and we're going to inject it into our systems. And that is happening all over the state, and that is a big concern. But the advocacy has to happen not just at the local level, it has to happen at the state level, because state law actually says that there is no local control. So I really appreciate this effort, and it takes Columbus and some of the big ones to push this, but we're still going to have to do more work for that to be operational. What else did you want me to talk about? Solar is also coming down in price. So the only thing that's really changed in the last 5 years is nuclear is as expensive as ever. There's never been a more expensive form of energy known to humankind. Coal is literally, Wall Street will not back it because it's so expensive, it's so old, it's so dirty. Natural gas is dirty, very expensive, and by the way, also has very high methane emissions and very high carbon emissions. Solar is going down in price. Wind is going down in price. Storage for batteries is very close to being ready for homes at this point.
Okay, let's, one sec, okay, because you mentioned nuclear. We have Pat Marida, stalwart of the Sierra Club for many, well, she's way too young, but you know, come up, Pat, for a minute and tell us about this leaflet you have and what the Sierra Club is doing about nukes. You know, we have 2 nukes in Ohio. The Perry plant east of Cleveland, the first reactor in the United States to be damaged by an earthquake, actually, amazingly enough, and the Davis-Besse reactor, which is insanely dangerous and expensive out near Toledo. The Sierra Club has been campaigning for many, many years, and you have something you want to talk about real quick, Pat, please. The waste dump in Canada, among other things.
Yeah, I wanted to mention, am I on? 2 things. One, I'm going to put some literature out at the back, and there's just a few. I didn't think about bringing enough today for everybody, but please take one. The dump, yes. Well, so we think about what's our local nuke and that, but we don't think about these are all over the world, and they're in Canada, and they're at the Bruce reactor on the Bruce units on Lake Huron. There are 8 reactors, and they got a lot of waste stored right there next to Lake Huron. So what can they do with it? Well, right there is a good place to bury it permanently, about a half-mile down in limestone. Well, limestone is only very slightly permeable. When we say very slightly permeable, is permeable. And the Great Lakes have only been there for like 12,000 years. So what's going to happen, you know, to this waste that they want to just get rid of for now? So Canada's been several years in trying to get this waste, get the authority to bury it there. And they've got a joint review panel that's looking at this. And a lot of people have testified. They have taken testimony from us, able to testify over the phone. But it's really, they bribed the town where the Cardin, Ontario, where the dump is to be located. They've given them a lot of money. So the people there, well, it's not everyone's in favor of it, but a lot of people, the majority of people are in favor of it. So that's what happens. You want nuclear waste in your town, we'll give you a lot of money. So we are currently we are going to attempt to get some kind of a resolution in Ohio State House, because there is a resolution has passed in the Michigan Senate. People are finding out about it, and they're incensed because that's coming our way. It's coming right down from Lake Huron into Lake Erie, and of course Lake Erie is our shallowest lake, and the most fish in our lake too. So, and 15 million people get their drinking water from the Great Lakes. So well, when you see that issue, we'd love to have people bring that up to your state legislators.
Okay, so Pat Marida has stuff about nukes back there, and let's talk about some big picture stuff now. It was important to get the local and chime in. Did you have something you wanted to say?
Yes. I'm interested in trying to understand how, if a local Bill of Rights passes, okay, for Columbus, how the state can fight that, and what we can do to overcome the objections of the state.
So the concern is obviously that if the city of Columbus passes a resolution or a charter amendment against fracking, what can the state of Ohio do? Swoop down and overturn it? Can we talk about that?
It's not against fracking. It's a Bill of Rights that we, the people of Columbus, deserve and have a right for local control, pure water, clean air, and safe soil. So it's a rights-based initiative, not a ban on fracking. So when they come against us, either the corporations or the state, they're going against the people's inalienable rights to clean water, clean air, and safe soil, and local governance.
Right, and here's the real point is politicians are going to want to win Ohio, right? So even if this, and want to win Columbus. So even if the state tries to supersede that Bill of Rights, and they have the jurisdiction to supersede that Bill of Rights, it would be very dumb for them to do so. Does that make sense? So we still have to work these two angles. We fought the law, hard fought the law change that took away local control. And I'll just tell you that throughout the state, Mansfield's actually a really hotbed for fighting the local control issue. But there's places throughout the northeastern corner, especially too. So this is a very good tactic, and a tactic that I think in the long term could have some really helpful implications. I just want everyone to know that we have to do this, but we can't be done, right? We have to keep going back to the State House and fighting this. Because also, they're drilling in our state parks. Yes. They're drilling in our state forests. You know, so there's less than 1% of Ohio is made of forests. And they're drilling there. So we do have to,
All fronts.
right, we all have to fight on all fronts. Yes.
It is shocking how, and it's a good question if the state can overrule the city, just like the feds overruled the states on medical marijuana and things like that. And we do have a government in the State House that's owned and operated by the corporations and the Republican Party. I mean, this is an astonishing situation due to gerrymandering. This state went solidly for Obama in 2014 and solidly for 12 and solidly for Sherrod Brown, a liberal Democrat in the Senate, the U.S. Senate. But and so statewide, the state is overwhelmingly Democratic, and yet the State House, the House and the Senate are basically 2/3 Republican, and the congressional delegation is what, 12 to 4 Republican versus Democrat. We're totally gerrymandered in this state, so it's really a concern. And we're lucky in this state that we do have the referendum. and that we can vote on these things directly. And I'm sure that when push comes to shove, that there will be millions of dollars spent in Central Ohio to defeat the Bill of Rights. We can anticipate that. And all sorts of lies will be told about it. You'll be told you'll freeze in the dark and all that other crap. So let's move ahead. I want to talk about big issue and you'll talk about big issue. Very quickly, the concept of solartopia, and I did write a book about it. There is a Pete Seeger music video. Go online and Google Pete Seeger, the great folk singer, Solartopia, and you'll hear a wonderful